to the others who have helped you get to this day, but I hope you're feeling more than that. I hope you feel the pride that all of us, all of the faculty and staff who have worked with you, and your family and loved ones feel on this occasion. Basically, you rock. You have mastered hard things. You have learned, you have advocated, you have contributed all over the state, the nation, and the world, from Santa Clara County to Beijing. You've learned to be a lawyer in splashy cases, as well as small but important ones. You have negotiated brilliantly against your peers. You've solved policy problems for clients. You have created organizations, hosted events, conferences, and speakers. And you have thrown yourself into this community and this university in ways that have forever changed us. So yes, feel gratitude, but please also feel pride today.
If someone had told me a year ago that over the course of 10 months, I would have lived enough experiences to fill 5 years, I wouldn't have believed them. This year has been intense and accelerated and overwhelming. I still haven't wrapped my mind around it yet. But I do know that it felt good. It felt right. So choosing what to talk about today was no easy task. So in what is perhaps an exceedingly romantic fashion, I will confirm all the stereotypes of the overdramatic Italian woman and dedicate the next few minutes to 2 love letters, one to Stanford and one to my classmates. Stanford has been the fulfillment of a long-cherished dream. Most of us in the advanced degree have grown up with the ambition of one day making it to a place like this, where we would find like-minded people, a bunch of overachieving nerds from all over the world, a place where we would fit in. And I think that this is the most precious thing that Stanford has given me and a lot of us, a sense of belonging. I have given a lot of thoughts, especially in these days, to what it is that makes Stanford so incredible. And I think I have identified 3 components. One is interdisciplinarity. I think there's no other place in the world where you can experiment with so many disciplines. Yes, you're a law student, but in the span of a year, you can be an engineer, a social scientist, a designer, and your playground is the best school in the world. You climb out of your comfort zone, you build on each other's ideas, you try to understand, and sometimes you don't fully understand, but it's exactly that knowledge that allows you to be free of your inhibitions and put your thoughts out there. The second element is diversity. Every day we work with people from different countries, backgrounds, different religions, political opinions, sexual orientations. If every day you get to have coffee with a Bulgarian, a South Korean, an Indian, a Brazilian, well, you might be talking about the most trivial topic in the world, but you will always learn something new. In this past year, the world has been struggling with accepting diversity. We've seen a troubling wave of nationalism and intolerance, maybe stemming from fear, maybe from frustration, I'm not sure. What I do know is that from our point of view, it is painful and scary to witness because we know that diversity is an essential ingredient of positive change. And we know it because we've experienced it. We've been lucky enough to experience it. So now it is our responsibility, as we leave our beloved Stanford bubble, to show the world that diversity is beautiful and it generates beauty. And finally, the third big lesson, and what is perhaps the most characteristic of Stanford, is the importance of failure. Where I come from, failure it's a bad word. If you fail, you feel ashamed, you want to hide it. Well, not at Stanford. Here, it is synonymous with ambition and with initiative. It is at the very foundation of great things. So in a way, Stanford encourages us to fail, but it gives us the tools to fail successfully, to see our mistakes, our limitations, and to address them so that we can fall, yes, but fall forward. Stanford has taught us that if we learn from our failures, then we never really fail, we just learn. And now let me turn to the love letter to my classmates. As lawyers, we get teased pretty constantly for being risk-averse. Well, I think that all of us here have defied that stereotype. When we chose to embark in this journey, we left our countries, we left our families, we left our jobs to go back to being students in a foreign land. I would not call that risk-averse. But what I have learned from each and every one of you is that it wasn't really a choice. It was more like you couldn't help it. You felt that life wanted something from you, and you decided to follow that gut feeling. You felt a sense of purpose that went beyond whatever you were doing before, and you decided to be loyal to it, even if it did mean abandoning the safety of your home. They say that inspiration comes from being surrounded by people who are smarter than you. Well, for the past 10 months, I've felt like that every single day, and it's been a constant source of inspiration. But the wonderful thing about you guys is that you're not just smart. You are kind and genuine human beings, and it's just a combination that is so rare to find. There is this create your own family thing that happens when everyone is away from home. And this year, between a class and a party in Munger 5 and one of the 1,000 times we danced to Despacito, I saw it happen to us. You are driven, you are ambitious, but you also crave beauty and romance and joy. You love to laugh and to dance and to let people in. So I have found a family in you, lifelong friends around whom I'm not afraid to let my guard down and be vulnerable. With you, I have felt comfortable to truly and unapologetically be myself. So I realize this is becoming a bit cheesy, so I'll wrap up with a couple of final thoughts. One is a piece of advice, something you already know, but I think that this is the right moment to be reminded of it. You are far too amazing to waste even a single minute doing something you don't want to do, or pretending to be someone you're not, or holding back from pursuing your passions. So my advice to you, and to myself for that matter, is pick a place where you can be yourselves. Be audacious, be ferocious, and don't be scared. And the final reflection, if I can get through this, a few people will change your life forever. And you are those people for me, and I'm really grateful to have you in my life. Good luck.
So, here is my attempt at distilling the past 3 years into a pithy, commencement speech appropriate adage. Community springs forth. Now, I know I had 6 months and maybe not so impressive on its face. But I do think the notion of community springing forth does justice to our time here. The kinship we've created with each other, our clients, with our mentors, has been the most important part of our Stanford Law School experience. There was the end of our first final season, going through the 2L and 3L tunnel, letting that ecstatic feeling wash over us. It was over, and we'd done it. There were clinic wins with disbelieving, jubilant clients. There were the Spilf auctions, and the Balsa galas, and the Cincos, and the law proms. There were the phone calls that you'd gotten the job, the externship, the clerkship. There were Facebook threads during class. Maybe ones that made it hard to contain your laughter during LRW. And there were lazy afternoons in Crocker, gatherings in Munger. From joy, community sprang forth. And then there was the sheer difficulty that comes with law school. Stress, anxiety, breakdowns. There was grappling with the fact that as former top students in a class full of former top students, not every one of us could be a top student. There were difficult conversations with clients where we gave them bad news that would change their lives. And yet we got the privilege of walking back to our apartment, our education, our families. There were rejections from any number of amazing opportunities. And then there was the standard life stuff: death, relationship problems, the fear of not being enough. It's really in no way unique to law school, but we went through it together, and it felt 10 times harder because we were trying to get through law school. From pain, community sprang forth. And then there were the reminders that if we are going to be forces for justice in this world, it's going to be a ride. We became painfully aware that we are a divided nation and world, one that constantly threatens to regress to a more shameful, less inclusive version of itself. As we march toward this day, still, there were people wrongfully evicted, convicted, terminated, deported. Still, there were people unable to chase their dreams, forced to eke out a living and relegate their passions to another life. Still, the notion of Black Lives Mattering is controversial. Still, communities of color, of women, of LGBT individuals, of Muslims, of immigrants live every day fighting for their rights, their dignity, and their humanity. But from the unrelenting hope that fuels the fight for social justice, and from the tireless effort to put our hands on the arc of the universe and bend it a little more toward what is right and what is good, community springs forth. I think right now, I'm hoping we're all thinking about the vignettes of joy and pain and growth and strength that, taken together, define our Stanford Law School experiences. These are the things that we powered through and reveled in to be here today, getting our JD from the best law school in the world. And so, as we gather for the last time as third-year law students, it seems appropriate that our community has once again sprung forth in one of its grandest forms. From each other, our classmates, with us in the trenches since 9:45 a.m., September 2nd, 2014, or since they joined us 2 year. From our partners, fiancés, and spouses, who held us up in our low points and celebrated us always. From the families from which we come, on whose shoulders we stand, and who send us forth to do greater things than even them, who watched us as we continued a family tradition of becoming a lawyer, became the first in our family to do so, or something in between. From the families that we've created, who maybe keep us up at night, but make life worth living. From our friends who, in asking us to please stop talking about law school, gave us a much-needed dose of perspective that life goes far beyond this beautiful campus. And from our faculty and staff mentors, who always pushed us to be better, but always reminded us that we were enough. Long after today's reception ends, community will continue to spring forth around us and because of us. Father Greg Boyle is a Jesuit priest in East Los Angeles who works with formerly gang-involved men and women. And he likes to invoke what he calls a circle of compassion. And he calls us to imagine society standing in a circle and everyone inching toward the margins so that eventually the margins themselves cease to exist. That's a good guiding principle for us and one that we've built the groundwork for here. We're bound to each other by our collective willingness to look inside ourselves, to look outside ourselves, and to offer something of ourselves. I don't think we'll stop doing that once we cross this stage, whether we're going into the private sector, committing ourselves to the public interest, or doing something unrelated to the law altogether. I know it's hot, so I'll end with this. During our most recent Admitted Students Weekend, Dean McGill told a group of prospective law students that you will change this place and that you will shape this place. That, she said, is what makes Stanford Law School so great. Now, from those students, a new community will spring forth. But today we are here to celebrate ours. It has been my absolute honor, privilege, and pleasure to see living, breathing proof of Dean McGill's words in each and every one of you for the past 3 years. Thank you for that, and congratulations.
Hi, I'm Katie Bees.
And I'm Beth LeVeaux.
And we're the 3L class presidents.
All right, that's going to be awfully hard to follow, but I'll try. So I'm presenting the Dean's Award for Excellence in Service. This award recognizes a graduating student who has made distinctive and exceptional contributions to legal education and the quality of student life at Stanford Law School. It comes as a surprise to no one that this year's recipient is James Yoon. I met James on the first day of law school. I was fortunate enough to be in his section, and from the outset, his collegial attitude epitomized what is great about Stanford Law School. When we discussed something particularly confusing in class, he would send a section-wide email asking if people wanted to go over the materials together. He organized section lunches and wine Wednesdays, a tradition that endured for our section throughout all of law school. As a 2L, James served as co-president of the Stanford Law Association. In that capacity, he worked tirelessly to bring the law school community even closer, often making personal sacrifices to do so. I recently learned of one such instance. Earlier this spring, Katie and I were planning an event, and we contacted the DJ that James had used for an SLA event last year. The price he quoted us was too high. So we asked the DJ how SLA managed to afford it the year before, and his answer was simple. James agreed to work as the DJ's assistant all night, making it so the DJ didn't have to pay his usual assistant. I'll cover that. So James's contributions were not limited to Stanford's campus. He participated in the community law clinic for 4 quarters. He won several expungement motions, negotiated a favorable settlement in a wage theft case, and even secured Social Security benefits for his clients. And finally, a fun fact about James, some research has revealed that his 2L assistant DJ experience was not his first. It turns out that in college, he worked for his school's radio station. So as he accepts this prestigious award, let's all reflect on the fact that he arrived here in Palo Alto, a Harvard DJ, and he leaves today a Stanford JD. So without further ado, we are thrilled to present the Dean's Award for Excellence in Service to our friend, James Yoon.
Beth, thank you so much for making me look a lot better than I actually am. And I just wish you hadn't waited until the absolute last day of school to say all those nice things to me in public. But I'll take external validation wherever I can get it. It goes without saying that Stanford Law School is a community because a lot of people work hard to make it one. The students, the staff, the faculty. It doesn't just happen by chance. Within the first month of my 1L year, I had been assigned 10 student mentors, 2 faculty advisors. I was receiving daily emails from student organizations, OCS, Levin Center, all welcoming me to the school. At first, I ignored all of this, thinking I could just figure it out myself. Turns out 1L is pretty hard unless you ask for help. And the SLS community helped me realize that I just didn't have to go through it alone. Not to say that it's all been fun and games. 1L year, and pretty much every year after that, it's been pretty hard. But I have a tough time remembering the hard parts, though. The exams I've taken, or times I spent in class just clueless about the UCC. Instead, I remember walking out of my exams and celebrating with my friends. I remember every single Facebook conversation I had in class with my section. I remember every single conversation I had in clinic about Jane DeVirgin, Michael Cordero Jr. It seems like all I remember from law school are the people I spent the last 3 years with, the people who helped me get through it all together. And trust me, I wish I remembered more about contracts. It's something I'll have to come to terms with starting on Monday. Now, graduating today means that we'll be leaving the Stanford bubble. And come tomorrow morning, we won't be receiving an email, or at least I don't think we'll be receiving an email, assigning us 10 life advisors for the foreseeable future. Unless you donate a couple thousand to the school, who knows what will happen then. But I hope everyone remembers that even after today, the SLS community, including all the people who helped you get to where you are today, all the people who've been with you for the past 3 years, will still be there to help if you ask for it. Thank you.
I have the honor of presenting the Staff Award, which is given to a staff member who has played an integral role in the lives of the graduating students. This year, our class has recognized Anna Wang for her contributions. Anna is the executive director of the Levin Center for Public Service and Public Interest Law, which is a great resource for students committed to advancing social justice both during law school and after graduation. Anna oversees a variety of programs and events ranging from skills workshops to career panels to mentorship opportunities. Most importantly, her work provides a broader perspective about what it means to be a lawyer. So many of us entered law school seeing a traditional law firm as the natural next step. But Anna inspired us to challenge the status quo and to follow our dreams and change the world. So much of law school involves learning abstract legal theory from unintelligible 18th century cases. And this realization quickly disheartened those of us who came to law school wanting to tackle current issues. Thankfully, Anna was there to remind us that the practice of law is not the same as the study of law. Anna not only helped us imagine our careers in the public interest, but helped us figure out how to get there. Like so many other students, I sat in Anna's office one fall with a long list of nonprofits that I wanted to work for, but no clue how to get my foot in the door. Anna quickly connected me with alumni all over the country. Many other students at SLS echo my sentiments. She was described as incredibly supportive, kind, and honest. I heard the words wonderful and helpful too many times to count. On behalf of the graduating class, thank you, Anna, for all your support and guidance these past 3 years. I'm delighted to present this award to you. There she is.
Quick tour. So, oh, sorry.
This isn't going to be long. I just wanted to thank all of you, members of the JD and LLM and JSD classes graduating. It's been an immense privilege and honor to work with all of you. As you've heard from Bianca and Jose and James, I think it's an incredible community, and it doesn't end today. As I've said from day one, when you first arrived, this is a community that starts at admission, and it ends until the day you decide you want to retire, unless you want to take on a second career doing more public service. Please do reach out. The one piece of advice I want to say is to just stay open to opportunities. You never know where life will take you. I never would have expected 16 years ago, when I was graduating from Berkeley Law, that I'd be on the stage at Stanford Law doing the job I'm doing now, but it's an incredible honor and I love it. So thank you and congratulations.
So last but not least, we are honored to present the Hurlbut Award to Professor David Sklansky. Each year, the graduating class gives this award to the professor who strives to make teaching an art. It is especially fitting that our class chose Professor Sklansky, as we started at Stanford the same time he did 3 years ago. Professor Sklansky was my criminal law professor in the fall of 1L. And I was initially very intimidated by his previous career as a federal prosecutor and by the fact that he had all of our names memorized from the second we walked through his door. What I quickly realized is that I should not be intimidated. I should just be in awe of his incredible ability to bring the law to life. He refused to boil criminal law down to the elements of a crime, instead focusing on the policies behind the law. During these policy discussions, he took ownership of the fact that he came to the conversation with his own perspective, but he made it clear that he did not think other viewpoints were wrong. In so doing, he showed us what law school is all about, taking one side but understanding the other.
Professor Sklansky's impact extends beyond the classroom. It seems like almost everyone here has a story about working with him. Of course, these anecdotes are all hearsay, so I won't mention them here. But in all seriousness, Professor Sklansky is extremely supportive of student research and scholarship. During law school, I had the pleasure of working with him on a policy practicum about the lack of diversity in prosecutors' offices. He provided the perfect amount of guidance while still allowing the students involved to take ownership over the research. He also encourages students to pursue their own research projects. He dedicates a tremendous amount of time to advising his students. Even if he doesn't know the answer, he can always point us in the right direction and is excited to learn along with us. Without fail, he sees our projects through to completion, often pushing us to publish our work. Every law student should be so lucky to have a professor like you, Professor Sklansky. It's an honor to present this award to you today. Congratulations.
Thank you, Beth, and thank you, Katie, for that flattering and fraudulent introduction. The easiest way to be a successful teacher is to have brilliant students. Nonetheless, I'm thrilled and deeply honored by the opportunity to share the excitement of this wonderful day with you in this very special place. I remember visiting this campus 40 years ago when I was still in high school. A friend and I drove up from Southern California to take a look at Stanford and another university on the other side of the San Francisco Bay. We arrived here on a warm and sparkling day, much like today, and we were overwhelmed by the beauty and tranquility of the campus. There were students sitting in circles on the grass. T-shirts were being tie-dyed. A guitar was being played. I hated it. Stanford was too nice, too sheltered, too happy. I couldn't leave quickly enough. I was 18 and I was kind of an idiot. In the years since then, I've come to think of happiness as mostly a positive thing. I don't really see a strong tension anymore between pleasantness and intellectual ambition. And 3 years ago, when I joined this faculty, I was attracted not just by the brilliant people here, but by the kindness and decency of Stanford and of the law school in particular. And that was before I met the class of 2017. Newcomers to Stanford yourselves, most of you, and thrown into the craziness of your 1L year, you somehow found the time and the energy to make me feel welcome. I will always be grateful for that. This feels like home to me, and you graduates are a big part of the reason why. Nevertheless, some of you may have felt at times a bit of what I felt about Stanford 40 years ago. You may have wondered what you were doing amid these lovely plazas and shaded arcades while so much was going on in the outside world. When you and I arrived here 3 years ago, the election of 2016 was far in the distance. The protests in Ferguson, Missouri were just getting underway. Tamir Rice and Sandra Bland and Philando Castile were still alive. Worshippers had never been shot to death in a church in Charlottesville. 5 police officers had never been murdered in a single day in Dallas. So let's acknowledge that in periods like the one we are living through, it can feel odd to be surrounded by serenity. Even more, it can feel wrong to be occupied with the abstractions and technicalities of the law. Some of you may have felt during part of your time in law school that you were losing sight of what mattered most. You may have worried that you were being trained in what the Italian writer Natalia Ginzburg called dismissively the little virtues. By the little virtues, Ginsburg meant things like prudence, caution, thrift, and tact. These virtues, Ginsburg wrote, come from a defensive instinct, an instinct that she said harangues and holds forth and displays its arguments with reason's voice. She thought that the little virtues were vastly less important than, worthless without, what she called the great virtues. Virtues like courage, candor, and selflessness. Virtues that Ginsburg said welled up from an instinct in which reason does not speak. Prudence, caution, the haranguing voice of reason, that does sound a little bit like what you've just spent 3 years studying, doesn't it? And yet you know that law and lawyering are about more than that. Not that prudence and caution are bad things. Our country and our world could use a little more of the little virtues. The haranguing voice of reason has its place. And I know you're well aware of that. I've seen many of you employ the haranguing voice of reason to marvelous effect. But you haven't been acting only out of prudence and caution. I've watched you defend migrants from deportation. I've watched you protect the rights of criminal defendants. I've seen you counsel family farmers and nonprofit organizations. I've watched you stand up for asylum seekers, for special education students. I've watched you fight to protect the California coastline and the Medicine Lake Highlands and the bi-state sage grouse. I've watched you help formerly incarcerated people start their own businesses. I've watched you speak out for religious liberty, for racial fairness, for prosecutorial accountability, for due process, for decent wages, and for safe and effective schools. And again, I've seen you support each other, comfort each other, and stand up for each other, celebrate each other, and share each other's joys and heartaches. You're not strangers to the great virtues. And I think you know that the time that you spent nurturing your community here, the community that Bianca and Jose spoke so eloquently about, was not a distraction from or a supplement to your professional education. It was part of your professional education. You were doing what the best lawyers have always done. You were helping people live together, work together, and thrive together. The care you showed for each other was a blueprint for the care that lawyers at their best show for society. There's a bigger point here about the connection between the personal and the political. Your time in law school reminded you, I hope, that our large-scale social arrangements, which is to say our politics and our law, have to be rooted in what our personal relationships teach us or should teach us about the nature and importance of decency, bravery, and compassion. The great virtues are cultivated in everyday life. So here's a kind of humdrum example. After visiting this campus 40 years ago, my friend and I headed home, driving south through the Central Valley on Interstate 5. Late at night, we began to have car trouble. The headlights started to dim and we began to lose power. This was before cell phones. We got off the highway and barely made it to the town of Old River, a few miles southwest of Bakersfield. There was one service station in Old River, and it was closed for the night. We wound up sleeping in our car parked behind a tavern. I don't remember how long it took us to get the car fixed the next day or when we finally got home. What I remember is the slow, nerve-wracking drive from I-5 to Old River late at night in pitch darkness with our headlights turned off to save power. I remember leaning out the window on the passenger side with a flashlight in my hand and the wind in my face, shouting directions so that my friend could steer. I'm not really sure what great virtues that story is about, but I like the story, and it somehow seems to belong in a graduation speech. It seemed like a metaphor even at the time. The thing about graduation speeches is that nobody ever remembers them. You're not going to remember this one. But here's what you may remember and what I hope you will remember. I want you to remember years from now how it feels to be sitting here today on this beautiful, storied campus, surrounded by friends and, if you are lucky, by family. I want you to remember your feelings of accomplishment and pride, not just for completing your studies here, although that's certainly grounds enough for pride, but for the help that you gave others, for the advocacy in which you engaged, for the friendships you formed, for the community that, together, you constructed and maintained. I want you to remember your feelings today of excitement, of confidence in the face of uncertainty, of challenges that remain and of limitless possibilities. I want you to remember the thrill of this moment and of this day. Hold that within you and never let it go. Because in the decades to come, there may be times when you will need it. You will have some dark days. You will face personal challenges. If you're engaged in public affairs, as I hope you will be, you will suffer setbacks there as well. You will experience defeat and disillusion. You will find yourself lost in unlit places. And when you do, this day, if you have held it tight, will provide you with a lamp. Natalia Ginsburg spent most of the years 1941 through 1943 in Pizzoli, a small village in the Italian countryside where Mussolini's government had exiled her husband, the editor, linguist, and anti-fascist activist Leone Ginsburg. In 1943, after Leone Ginsburg returned to Rome and rejoined the Italian resistance, he was captured by the local police and handed over to the Nazis, who were by then occupying the city. Early in 1944, he was tortured to death in Rome's Regina Coeli prison. He was 34 years old. I tell you this grim story not just because it should serve as a warning about what can happen in the absence of the rule of law, although it should, and not just because there were lawyers who helped lend legitimacy to the regimes that hounded and murdered Leonie Ginsburg, although there were. I tell you this story because several months after her husband's death, Natalia Ginsburg wrote an essay about the years they had shared in Pizzoli. They had had young children at the time, and Ginsburg wrote about the daily rhythm of their lives in Pizzoli, the cycle of the seasons, and the villagers who they had befriended. She wrote about evening walks in the snow, about homesickness, about buying oranges from the grocer. In retrospect, she said, it was the happiest time of her life, but she hadn't recognized it. It's a heartbreaking essay. Our dreams are never realized, Natalia Ginsburg wrote, and no sooner do we see them betrayed than we are consumed with regret for the time when they glowed within us. I believe, though, that the time Ginsburg spent in Pizzoli remained with her and guided her for the rest of her life. Through her career as a writer, through a second marriage, through joys and hardships and tragedies of parenting, through decades of political activism, and through years as a member of the Italian parliament. Natalia Ginsburg's oldest child was 5 years old when the family left Pizzoli, but he has told interviewers that the time there stayed with him as well. Carlo Ginzburg grew up to be a historian. His most famous book, The Cheese and the Worms, is about an obscure 16th century miller known as Minocchio, who lived in the Friulian village of Montereale until at age 67, he was burned at the stake for heresy. So another happy story. But that's the last death in this speech, I promise. For understandable reasons, Carlo Ginzburg has been preoccupied throughout his career with perversions of legal process and with people persecuted for their beliefs. But The Cheese and the Worms isn't just about the Inquisition. It's about the village of Montereale and about Minocchio's intellectual world and about the dignity and intrinsic worth of the individual. Carlo Ginzburg has said the historian's task is to untangle the strands of the true, the false, and the fictional, which are the substance of our being in the world. And of course, lawyers and judges spend a lot of time doing that too. It's a big part of our job. And it's a challenge that everyone confronts throughout life, every day, at work, at home, and in our communities, both small and large. We're all called upon to separate the truth from the false and the fictional, not just scientific and historical truths, but moral truths as well. Natalia Ginsburg and her son Carlo Ginzburg were friends and admirers of one of my favorite writers, Italo Calvino. At the end of Calvino's novel, Invisible Cities, Marco Polo tells Kublai Khan how to live in our fallen world. Calvino has Polo say, don't accept the inferno that people can create by living together. Don't become such a part of it that you can't see it anymore. Instead, seek and learn to recognize who and what in the midst of inferno are not inferno, and then make them endure, give them space. The greatest thing about the profession you have chosen is that it will give you opportunity after opportunity to make space for what is just and what is right. I hope you will embrace those opportunities. And I hope you will do something similar for yourselves in your own lives, beginning right here and right now. Natalia Ginsburg took the epigram for her essay about Pizzoli from Virgil, Deus nobis aec otia fecit. God has given us this moment of peace. You and I have been granted these past 3 years together, culminating in this joyful day. You've taught me and inspired me, and I don't plan on letting go of what we've shared. I hope you won't let go either. Clutch this day to your breast and always keep it with you. Hold on to your time at Stanford Law School. Never forget what you glimpsed here of all you can accomplish and of all the good you are capable of doing. Keep in mind the friends and allies you met here who believe in you and will stand with you. Use those memories. Use this day. Congratulations, graduates. You're going to do great things. I know because I've seen you do great things. We will miss you here. So please stay in touch and Godspeed.
Thank you, Professor Sklansky. It is now my great privilege to present the degree candidates for the class of 2017. Will the candidates for the Doctor of the Science of Law please stand? Children are welcome on stage. Brenda Brito do Carmo. Thank you. Shili Krebs. Yeah. There we go. Ana Cristina Núñez Machado. Uh-oh. We do. It was out of order. It was out of order. We have it. Sarah Shirazian. I will now present the candidates for the degree of the Master of the Science of Law. Thank you. Maria Candida Carvalho Montera de Almeida. Virgilio de los Reyes. Arjuna Charles Dibley. Maria Cecilia Garabotti. Li Huang. Vioma Jha. Francisco Pedrosa Dandrade Figuera. Nathaniel Reisenberg. Nicolás Torres Echeverri. Fabio Weinberg Krakow. I will now present the candidates for the degree of Master of Laws, Corporate Governance and Practice. Gang Chen. Jun Hee Choi, and friend. Gianpaolo Ciervo. Thiago Jose da Silva. Sanandini Das. Sang-Hoon Han and friend. Aldo Alberto Chaurgi Garcia. Karen Kreintz Simon. Antonio Paulo Kubli Vieira. Yanyun Lin. Ana Martini Gomes Pereira. Daphne Morel. Sharef Asar. Natalia Parmigiani Merlusi. Isabella Prager. Jose Fernando Quesada Trevino. Clara Maria Robledo Sanchez. Nicolás Rodolfo Santana Hernandez. Nobuhiko Suzuki and our new friend. Yan. I will now present the candidates for the degree of Master of Laws, Environmental Law and Policy. Gabriela Braz Aidar. Kevin Alvin Chand. Carolina Jalmera Castelo Brinco. Teresita del Pilar González Ogaz. Fernanda Jiménez Sauter. Rina Amanda Cusipalo. Oscar Alberto Lin. Ipshita Mukherjee. Enrique Oquisten Bum. Hai Jin Park. Luis Manuel Rosendo Reneda. Samuel Ernesto Ruiz Tagle Gutierrez. Maya Moana Elizabeth Wikaira. I will now present the candidates for the degree of Master of Laws, International Economic Law, Business, and Policy. Nidhi Arora. Guillermo Baptista Schwartzman. Ara Cho and friend. Bianca Crivellini Egger. Yucheng Fan. Hiroki Habuka. Paul Yusuf Kairouz. Ignacio Lagos. Minchu Long. Jan Ulrich Ortges. Polina Piperkova. Nobuhiro Tanaka. Ting Elizabeth Wu. Byungkook Yu. I will now present the candidates for the degree of Master of Laws, Law, Science, and Technology. Subhajit Banerjee. Dwight Bigala. Hemangini Dadwal. Estelle Marguerite Devise. Savni Dut. Clarice Ferreira Silva Medeiros Cerda and friend. Ella Catherine Macron Hulvas. Melina Aralabopoulos. Gerhardus Hartmann. Wanda Kudraika. Yindi Limpivade. Dongshen Lin. Miguel Enrique Morachimo Rodriguez. Minje O. Wenji O. Hyungyang Park. Ignacio Jose Pereira. Carlos Andrés Rodo Parisi. Roberto Pinho. Bruno Silveira and friend. Mirena Rumenova Taskova. Angyan Alex To. I will now present the candidates for the degree of Doctor of Jurisprudence. Max Evan Alderman. Katharina Altamari Brown. Claudia McNeely Longman Antonacci. Rachel Elizabeth Apfel. Adam J. Arguelles and friends. Julian David Palacio Aris. Neha Aurora. Andrew Baker. Lauren E. Baker. David Michael Barnes. Casey P. Bond. Patrick Benitez. Paul W. Bennett. Catherine J. Bees. Elizabeth A. Bixby. Kay Afia Bonner. Stephanie Ann Bonovich. William Z. Brink. Cameron Angel Brown. Caitlin Troyer Bush. Kevin R. Bush. Maria Florence Buxton. Ricardo Leva Castañeda. Andrew White Chang. Grace Corinne Chediak. Sarah Jane Clark. Jonathan Stern Connolly. Lucian Constable. Elizabeth Marie Costello. Kevin R. Cower. Abby Brooke Cox. Kenneth Clark Danes. Peter Elmquist Davis. Isaiah M. DePorto.
Hello.
Jason J. Despain. Molly Ann DeBrell. Jocelyn P. Dicker. John David Dixon III. Vincent A. Doctor. DJ Dorf and friends. Joshua Irian dos Santos. Laura Ann Douglas. Kevin Charles Eaton. Gina Faith Elliott. Meredith Ann Evancy. Trevor W. Ezel. Zachary Sage Fedorko. Congratulations. Kate L. Fetro. J.C. Fisher. Michael Frankus. Rachel Sylvia Frank. Zoe Elizabeth Friedland. Reed Richards Gardner. Daisuke Alexander Gatanaga. Sarah Margaret Gates. Kevin Patrick Gibson. Stephanie Maxwell Gilliam. Laura Blakemore Gilson. Allison Diane Goki. Ana Maria Elena Gomez Palazzo. Juan J. Gonzalez. Alexander Gorse. Shannon Marie Grammel. Alexa Ann Gromlick. Richard H. Griffin. Alice Hall Partika. John Wesley Hamilton. Amari Lynn Hammonds and friend. Coconut. Rachel Ann Smith Haney. Sophie J. Hart. Amaral N. Hayes. Pablo Jose Hernandez Rivera. An Lee Herring. Benjamin Victor Hewlett. Mangyu Huang. Carl P. Hudson. Andrew Christian Indorf. Sean Reardon Janda. Ye Sung Chung. Carolyn Danielle Jeffries. Christopher L. Jensen and friends. Charles S. Johnson. Anique Marie Severson Ulness Jordan. Natalie Ann Carl. Hannah M. Kieschnick. Hugh Jacob Kirkpatrick. William Christopher Koch IV. Sarah Margaret Kushner. Sydney Bridget Lakin. Pilar Christine Landon. Elizabeth Ward LeBeau. Imani Simone Lee. Robin Danielle Levin. Adam Finkel Lewis and friend. Christopher Lewis and friend. Anne Caitlin Blady Linder. Daniel Liss. Stephen Liu. Daryl G. Long, Jr. Brandon Ellis Martinez, Jr. Jose Luis Martinez. Samuel Hunter McClure. Sean Christopher McGuire. I kind of know your name. Catherine Janie Gomez McEwen. Megan Samantha McCoy. Catherine Ellen McNutt. Kai Medeiros. B.I. Middleton. Laurel Elizabeth Mills. James M. Morris. Christina N. Knightsey. Daniel J. Nesbitt. Demony Rojas Newman. John No. Benjamin Joseph Chapman Newens. Kevin O'Connell. Michael Kenzo Ota. Riley Kircher Ulm. Tierney Colleen O'Rourke. Joanna Pack. Ari Parker. Joshua R. Parr. Jason Timothy Perkins. Jesse R. Peters. Duncan Mayer Pickard. Brittany Nicole Pfeiffer. Michael Poon. Anna A. Porto. Kevin Michael Rich. Jordan Scott Rittenauer. Zahava C. Robbins. Andrew N. Roberts. Mary Catherine Rock. Hector Omar Rodriguez. Alexander K. Rosenberg. Daniel Matthew Rubin. Jonathan Allen Saltz. Arturo Carlos Schultz. Colin S. Scott. Artemis Seaford. Matthew R. Sellers. Eric Silverberg. Madeline Page Skitsky. Courtney Rose Sladek. Eric Roosevelt Smith. Jordan E. Smith. Erica Ann Solazo. Joshua M. Spears. Justin David Stahl. William A. Stateman. Riza Danielle Lehrer Stein. Wangshu Tai. Mari Takamoto Chak. Amy L. Tannenbaum. Lauren M. Tarpey. Torin Marie Taylor. Brandon Ross Teachout. Maurice Werter Trevor. Mackenzie Carlette Owings Tudor. Daniel Herbert Tully. Dina Nicole Toomey.
Congratulations.
John Michael Ugai. Elizabeth Michelle Beecher Vissers.
Congratulations.
George Alejandro Cunningham Warner. Margot Eleanor Watson. Tamar Marjorie Weinstock. Matthew S. Wells. Ryan H. Wessels. David G. Wick. Jonathan Daniel Wolf. Oh my God. Joshua Daniel Wolf. Sorry, I'm so sorry. Jane Ong. Michelle Wu. James Yihua Shi. Kevin S. Shu. Mengyi Shu. Yep. James Sanghyung Yoon. Stacy Elizabeth Young. Diana Yu. Lauren Nicole Zach. Donna Zamora Stevens. Congratulations. Christopher Tripp Zanitis. Congratulations. Waitsi Zhang. Grace Xinyi Zhao. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the class of 2017. Please join me in congratulating them.
Whew, it's hot. So in the last official act today, my job is actually to charge the class. Before I do, let me say again to the friends and the family and the loved one of these graduates, thank you for being here to mark this important occasion with them and with us. Thank you for sharing these truly exceptional people with us, and most of all, thank you for supporting them and helping make them who they are. Because as I said at the beginning of this event, they rock. So back to the charge to the class. You might ask, what is a charge? There's a lot of different meanings of the term. There's one you might be thinking of, the bill, the expense, what you might just call the tuition. There's that always contested call in basketball, the charge, or was it a block? There's the jury charge, and there's the criminal charge. But I must confess that charge, for me, always calls to mind the military charge. That's the battle maneuver when one side advances toward the enemy fast and engages in close combat. It's a shock attack. It's been a decisive moment in many battles through history, from the Greek phalanx to the charge of the Light Brigade. So decisive, in both in victory and defeat for those charging, that the maneuver has been remembered in poems, in songs, and depicted in many films. Some of you in this audience have been in battle. I have not. So when I think of the military charge, I'm embarrassed to admit that I think of the film version. And before the actual charge, the leader is in front of the army or the cavalry. The leader says some words, turns around, shouts charge, and they surge forward. So the three key features of this speech in advance of the charge, I'm going to follow them. That speech is honest in admitting that what is ahead might be difficult. But that speech also reminds the assembled that despite that, they've got this. And you'll be relieved to hear that speech is very short. The battle awaits. In our case, the reception in Crocker Garden awaits. So let me say two things briefly. First, let me be honest in admitting that what lies ahead might be difficult. I say that even though in so many ways you graduates, you have it all. Your talent, your learning, your dedication, your smarts, your savvy, your opportunities. But even with all of that on your side, and that is a lot, what is ahead is daunting. Building a life, a professional life and a personal life that has meaning and brings satisfaction to you is not an easy task. But I want to focus for just a minute or two on another challenge that revolves around the state of the world that you're entering. Let's face it, I don't think daunting begins to capture the state of the world you're entering. There's one challenge today that I think rightly should shake all of us, and I think it should especially shake those of us trained in law. I'm sure you've heard the often repeated phrase, facts are stubborn things. The challenge I want to talk today about is facts don't seem so stubborn right now. It's a pretty common intuition that we are in a state of crisis over what is and is not a fact because we are so divided, especially along partisan lines. And that fuels our inability to agree on facts. But that cannot be right. It is simply not the case, and I think I have the historians on my side here, that we are more divided today on matters of great importance than we or any other society has been in history. Just take this country compared to the Revolutionary War, the antebellum period, the lead up to the Civil War. Have you forgotten dueling? Aaron Burr, the sitting vice president of the United States, killed Alexander Hamilton in 1804 in a duel. In 1859, the Chief Justice of the California Supreme Court shot a California senator, killed him in a duel over a rift over slavery. And it wasn't just dueling. In 1856, a South Carolina congressman bludgeoned Massachusetts abolitionist Charles Sumner on the floor of the Senate. Now, I don't think we are so different historically. We do have profound divisions. I don't think they are worse than they have been at any other time in this country or in any other country. What I think is different today is that technological and digital change is making it difficult to know whether what we are reading or seeing or hearing is true in the very non-fancy sense. Like, is this a statement about what the world is? Is that my neighbor who is talking in that video that was just sent to me? Is this email actually from my sister? Am I to believe that what I am observing is happening? In an age of social media, bots, artificial intelligence, digital manipulation of voices, video, hacking, hijacking of personality, we are experiencing something new. New in good ways, of course. We're more connected, our sources of information are more diverse, and these tools are both a reflection of, and they have unleashed enormous creativity. But it's new in bad ways too. We are much more vulnerable to being convinced of the truth of something that has no basis. I think we all should be deeply disturbed by this, but as lawyers, we have particular reason to worry. The design of all established legal systems, adversarial, inquisitorial, or a mix of the two, reflect serious thought about how facts are to be established and tested. Our own legal system is not committed just to facts, but to specific procedures that guide how we ascertain, we prove, and we test facts. The hearsay rule, the right to confront witnesses, the right to counsel, to name a few. These procedures have been developed over centuries through trial and error. So let me go back to that phrase, facts are stubborn things, to highlight one of the most important reasons legal systems are devoted to careful methods by which we establish facts. That phrase, of course, came from the mouth of a lawyer, but not just any lawyer. It was uttered by this country's second president, John Adams, 27 years before he became president. It was part of his closing argument as he defended a group of British soldiers, a reviled and hated group of British soldiers, who were accused of murdering colonists in what we now call the Boston Massacre. I suspect you know this story. It's March 1770 in a context of escalating tensions between the colonists and the British. 2 years earlier, more British troops were sent to Boston to maintain order and make sure the hated new tax acts were enforced. These soldiers were a constant irritant to the Patriots and many in Boston, and the troops were regularly harassed by the colonists. In David McCulloch's telling, late on the evening of March 5th, 1770, it was Boston, so it was actually snowing in March, a single British sentry was being harassed by a group of colonists. A church bell, which at the time served as a fire alarm, rang, and crowds came pouring into the street. Many came from the waterfront with sticks and clubs. Hundreds gathered around the lone sentry, who was then reinforced by 7 other British soldiers. The soldiers were hit with oyster shells, sticks, trash. There were cries of, "Kill them, kill them." Oyster shells are, fairly low tech, but the mood might be familiar to you from the virtual mob that can gather online. In the chaos, the soldiers opened fire and killed 5 men. Seizing an opportunity, the Patriots capitalized on the event to fuel anti-British sentiment. Samuel Adams called the killings bloody butchery. Paul Revere had a major hand in creating and distributing a famous engraving that depicted the event as just a straightforward slaughter. If you look at the engraving, the British troops are in red coat, they are lined up, it is in the day, and they are opening fire on the colonists. Let's just say the facts at trial revealed a very different story. Pretty low tech, but Paul Revere was a master of fake news. The day after the event, John Adams, who was then 34 years old, was asked to defend the British soldiers and their captain. He accepted on principle that he deeply believed in. No one should be denied the right to counsel or the right to a trial. But after studying the facts, he became convinced of the innocence of the soldiers, that they had acted in self-defense. It was in this context, after an exhaustive review of the evidence adduced at trial, he closed his argument to the jury in the following way. Facts are stubborn things. Whatever may be our wishes, our inclinations, the dictates of our passion, they cannot alter the state of facts and evidence. In the end, Adams obtained acquittals for the captain and 6 of the soldiers. The remaining 2 soldiers were found guilty of manslaughter, not murder. Much later in life, after he was president, he called it the most exhausting case he had ever worked on, but, quote, one of the best pieces of service I did for my country. The lesson of the Adams trial is one I suspect is part of you, given what you've learned and what you've done here. There are so many examples of tragedies and injustices that happen if a legal system does not have a workable way of ascertaining and testing facts, either because the participants don't even try, as when the mob takes over and dispenses its own form of brutal justice, or because the guardians of the system fail. You know, too, who suffers when that happens. It's people at the margins, the outnumbered, the reviled, and the hated. The 9 young African-American men jailed in Scottsboro, nearly murdered by a mob, later subjected to what could only be called show trials. Or the poor drifter, Clarence Earl Gideon, convicted without a lawyer on testimony that was later easily picked apart when he did have a lawyer. There's no mystery about what will happen and who will suffer when fact-finding breaks down. So you leave here at a time when our ability to actually establish facts about the world is, I think, under serious threat. And you know well, as people trained in law, just how dangerous that is. But now it's time for me to say, you have got this. It's a challenging time, but it's opportune, I think. Class of 2017, you've got it. First, it's your education and training in this discipline. Regardless of your path, you are students of law and legal systems, and you have internalized the ways of a profession that knows the centrality of facts and the importance of ascertaining them fairly, a profession that has developed and refined procedures over centuries to do just that. What you know about law, in other words, gives you special appreciation of the breakdown in our capacity to establish what is true, but also it equips you to meet the challenge. And I assure you, you have internalized these ways of thinking like a lawyer. In the past few weeks, I've asked many of you how law school has changed you. Much of what you said focused on how you've intellectually changed. You think more rigorously, critically, and analytically. You are more capable of seeing things from many angles. You are able to anticipate counterarguments. You grasp, these are your words, by the way. You grasp complexity and nuance, meaning you don't punt on the hard problems. You are more capable of questioning propositions of others in respectful and substantive ways. You better appreciate the need to understand and engage others who you don't agree with or you don't even understand. These are minds that do not rush to judgment without ascertaining the facts. A person of this disposition does not join the mob. A person of this disposition does the opposite. She walks to the front and she calms the mob. In John Adams' words, she calms the wishes, the inclinations, and the passion that can over-risk writing the facts. You are exactly who we need to meet this challenge. Second, you are doers and you are problem solvers. You are people of action. We are in awe of what you can do, and you've demonstrated that before you came here and since you've been here. The clinic clients you have represented, the policy lab projects you have completed, the new organizations and programs you have created, the issues you have put on the agenda of this school, the building of community that you have done. And this doing, this problem solving, this engagement for the good, this is what matters to so many of you. When I asked you about your most meaningful and memorable experiences in law school, almost all of you identified the work you have done for others and the community that you have been a part of here. Last, to use an overused word, you're just flat out inspiring. We've always thought that. That's why we tried to get you to come here. That's why we recruited you. But maybe the most compelling evidence of how inspiring you are is what you think of each other. You told me you are inspired by your classmates' talent, dedication, creativity, ambition, and goodwill. You are in awe of your classmates' ability to rise to challenges. They have given you an appreciation of what committed people can accomplish when they work as a team. Your classmates have enlarged your own sense of your ability and your desire to create change in the world. One of you put it just the way I think about it all the time. Quote, "I feel better about the future knowing that my classmates are the ones charging up the hill to meet it." So the task is daunting, but there are no better people to meet it than you. Charge!